There's a bit of legislation that's come in, and some of the terminology makes it a bit loose and available to be manipulated.
Well, of course, I mean, being hurt, having hurt feelings is entirely subjective. This is the exact same problem that arises from the online safety bill, right? This legal but harmful definition that is incredibly subjective, this psychological harm from the online safety bill. I mean, again, look, when it comes to suing your employer, there are numerous reasons why you might want to sue your employer. However, a customer being rude to you should not be the reason to. I mean, anybody that's worked in customer service knows that customers can be incredibly rude, and it is not the fault of your employer. This will then, of course, open up a huge amounts of bombshell litigations across businesses across the country, and I think actually will cause a lot of those businesses to end up having to close down to pay for it. Well,
let's get to William Closton. William, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this, not for the first time, progressives are ruining a good cause by overextending it. Discouraging harassment is a good idea, but this particular bill, it's not surprising also that it's proposed by Lib Dems, who think we can sort of arbitrate our way into harmony. The problem, as has been said, is the third parties. How does an employer control a customer? I mean, how does an employer control what a customer does when the customer goes into a pub or a cafe or whatever? It's unreasonable to think that an employer can do that. So I think this is an overstep, and not for the first time something is proposed by the Lib Dems or other progressives, and not for the first time the Tories are asleep at the wheel.
Because it's gone past the first reading and the second reading, and if that kind of keeps slithering, it'll be a law. What do you think, Peter?
Well, I don't think there's too much that's progressive about the Lib Dems. There's been a decade-long assault on workers' rights. To look at one example, if someone works in a supermarket and is racially abused, that's a criminal offence already, and quite rightly so. And I also look briefly at who's bringing in this bill in the House of Lords, Laura Lee Burt, who was a Lib Dem MP. Yet it was a Lib Dem-backed coalition that led that assault on workers' rights under David Cameron, around employment tribunals, around making collective redundancies, and so on and so on. So I think the Lib Dems to pose as defenders of workers' rights is hypocritical and nonsense.
Because it's the word harassment that is the problem. Narinder?
Well, I don't think it's unreasonable, because you can't build a business on the exploitation and abuse of staff. And it is about repeated harassment, because why should, say, for example, a bar lady who's working a pub constantly be having to be exposed to a customer that's coming in to sexually harass her? It has to be on the onus of the employer to make sure that that doesn't happen. That's not unreasonable. That's actually correct. You know, we have to have policy in place preventing any kind of abuse or hate. It's not about hurt feelings. This is about clear routes to respond and report to this kind of abuse. No one should be expected to go to work to face abuse. Why should they?
Well, can I ask, Narinder, just very briefly, are you a boss? Are you an employer? Have you ever been an employer?
I worked in a shop, in my parents' shop, where customers would be abusive, but my family made sure that customer could not come back in the shop.
Okay, so in that shop, let's take the shop then. So if you employed somebody working in the shop and a customer came in and was abusive to the person working in that shop, you would be the person held to account. As the owner of the shop, you would be held to account, not the person who's not the abusive person.
The customer.
Not the customer,
we would look after our employee. That is the purpose of the Workers' Protection Bill, is the employer has to make sure that their employee is safe and not at risk. Over 50% of women in hospitality have experienced sexual harassment. As the employee, it's my job to make sure they're safe.
In what world is the customer going to be... In what world is the employer responsible for a customer's behaviour? They cannot control what the customers are doing. That is
you ban them.
Absolutely
if it's
absurd.
Repeated.
But how can an employer control it?
We ban customers. We won't let them back in the shop.
Yeah, but the abuse might have happened before.
Exposed.
Yeah, but what if somebody said something horrible and I've got hurty feelings, so I said, right, that's it. And it's only happened once, and then I go and I sue you.
The bill isn't about just once. The bill isn't about just once. The bill is repeated harassment.
No, it could be once. Peter, what do you think? Because it doesn't sound like you support it either.
Well, I would struggle to support anything that's allegedly in the name of workers' rights that's introduced by the Lib Dems. I mean, I think we can all agree there's a problem. And I've worked in pubs, I've worked in a supermarket, and I've even worked as a postman. And, you know, most people are nice to you, but occasionally they're not. But some of the things we're talking about are criminal offences already. Of course, there's a burden on any employer to be a good employer and stand up for their staff. My worry is that some of the coalition reforms have reduced the threshold for employers to protect their employees. And actually, if you're an ordinary worker, particularly on low pay, the climate's much tougher due to pay and trade union legislation than it was 10 years ago.
William, what do you think they should really be doing? And can we stop this thing? Because how far is it down the line?
It's not. It's a bill. It's not an act yet. It hasn't been approved. But the Tories wanted to stop this. They could and they should stop it. There is existing legislation that covers most of this. And if they allow this, it'll have a chilling effect on debate, I think, in pubs and cafes throughout the country. Is wrong. I think you ask any doorman to a nightclub or a bar, busy bar, how many times would you hear things that you could consider harassment? You'd be finished within an evening. That's the reality. So in the real world, this is not a practical bit of legislation. It's overextension.
Narendra.
I think that's completely unfair to say that a man that works at the door, that's part of his job, and actually he's expected that a woman shouldn't expect to go to work and be sexually harassed. And it's about protecting these women and other people who are constantly harassed. An employer has to take those rights and they have to put in proper policy. And I support this workers' protection bill. This isn't woke nonsense. This is correct.
So Narendra, you're essentially saying that it's okay for these male people on the doorsteps of nightclubs to be harassed, but actually when it's a woman behind the bar, then it's not okay. Why is there that double standard?
Well, listen.
Well, neither of that is acceptable. But the man above said that it was, that actually this isn't correct, and this happens all day long. We must accept it. Neither should accept this.
Okay.
Neither of this should be accepted.
We're running out of time. I could listen to you guys for ages. Thank you so much.